Okay, the goal of this lesson is to use the gradient intercept form for the equation of a line. Please pause the video as you go, taking notes, completing the examples, and showing any working out as usual. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the fact that the equation of a line can be written in what's called gradient intercept form, which is essentially writing it in the form y equals mx plus c, where m is the gradient, that's the gradient we've been calculating before, rise over run, and c is the y-intercept. It's also worth noting that the equation of a line can be written in what's called general form, and for that, it's of the form of a multiple of x plus a multiple of y plus a constant equals 0. And we usually try, if we're writing it in general form, to write it so that a and b are integers. Okay, so let's have a look at the first example. Express in gradient intercept form, and hence find the gradient and coordinates of the y-intercept. So just be careful there. We need to do more than one thing. And the other thing, when we get to the y-intercept, we've got to remember to write it as coordinates. Okay, so for the first one, we are going to make y the subject. So that's all we're doing in this, making y the subject and then reading off values. So to make y the subject, we are going to subtract 3x on both sides, taking the 3x over, add 24 to both sides. And we need to find what 1y is, so we're going to divide the left by 4, which means we need to divide everything on the right by 4 as well. So that becomes minus 3/4 x plus 6. So we've made y the subject. Now, when you do that, the number in front of x is the gradient, and the constant is the y-intercept. So we'll write that down, the gradient, as we're asked to find the gradient. The gradient, I'll use m because m is normally a letter for representing gradient. Our gradient is equal to minus 3/4, and our y, I'll just put a comma, y-intercept. Now we've been asked to write as coordinates, so it's a 0 across and 6 up, 0, 6. All right, feel free to pause the video and do B by yourself. So making y the subject, I'll have 3y is equal to 2x plus 10, taking the 3y over to the other side, and then I've got to divide by 3, so dividing everything by 3, I get y equals 2/3 x plus 10 on 3. And then once again, I can read off my gradient, so the gradient is equal to positive 2/3, and my y-intercept is going to be 0 across and 10 on 3 up. Okay, example 2. Express the equation there in gradient intercept form and hence sketch the line. Okay, so what we're going to do is what we did before, make y the subject, so 2y equals, we'll take the 4x to the other side. We need to add 5 to both sides. Divide by 2, we get y equals minus 2x plus 5 on 2. Now, the question doesn't ask to find the gradient and y-intercept, but that's how we're going to sketch the line. So let's just make a note that our gradient is minus 2, and the y-intercept is 5 on 2. Okay, so the way that we're going to do this is we're first going to plot the y-intercept. And you can see I've drawn up some axes, and I've made sure that they are proper scales on both the x and y axes. And I'm going to choose blue to do this. The y-intercept is 5 on 2, which is 2.5. So I'm going to put a dot up at 2.5. Now, normally you wouldn't write this down, but I'm going to write it just so it's clear for you. Remember that the gradient, which is minus 2, and minus 2 is the same as minus 2 on 1. Minus 2 divided by 1 is minus 2. The gradient is the rise divided by the run. So what that's saying is every time you go across, you run across 1, your rise will be minus 2. In other words, it goes down 2. Every one across to the right, it goes down 2. So I'm now going to plot some additional points using that. I'm going to go across 1 and down 2, and that will take me to this point here, which is 1 across and a half high. Then I'm going to do it again. I'm going to go across 1 more and down another 2, and that should take me down to somewhere around here. All right. So remember, it's a good idea to get about 3 points, and then you should be able to draw the line through them. Now, now mine is a little bit harder to draw on the screen here, so hopefully it will look okay, but you will be, mine's a little bit out there. So I might let you draw that in. I'll draw it by hand because the automatic one's a bit difficult to draw. You'll obviously get a ruler for yours and draw it through those. Keep it straight. Okay, and so that will have equation. Remember, we write our equation on, now we could write it in either form. I'm going to write it in the form we found, which is minus 2x plus 5 on 2, but it would also be okay to go back and write it in terms of general form, which is the form that was given in originally. Okay, next question. Write down the equation of the line with the gradient of 3 on 2 and a y-intercept of minus 5. Okay, so we know it's of the form y equals mx plus b, y equals m, which is the gradient, so that's 3/5, x, plus the y-intercept of minus 5. Plus negative 5 is minus 5. So there's the equation of the line with gradient 3 on 2 and a y-intercept of minus 5. So it's pretty easy. Write down the equation line through 0, 3 with a gradient of minus 1. Well, this 0, 3 is the y-intercept. The 3 is the y-intercept. So this question's the same as number 3 above. So we're going to write y equals m as the gradient, so minus 1, x. Now, you don't need to write the minus 1. We can just write minus x. Minus 1x is the same as minus x, plus the y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b, or plus c. Doesn't matter what letter you say there, y equals mx plus b or y equals mx plus c, same thing. All right, question 5. Find the equation of the line with gradient minus 4/3 and y-intercept 7, leaving, that should say leaving your answer in general form. That is of the form ax plus by plus c equals 0. Okay, so first let's write it down in gradient intercept form. We know it's going to be y equals mx plus c. Now m, the gradient, is minus 4/3 x plus the c value, the y-intercept is 7. So there it is in gradient intercept form. It's gradient intercept form because you can read off the gradient and you can read off the y-intercept. Okay, but we want to now write it in general form. We've been asked to leave our answer in general form. So let's multiply through by 3 to get rid of the fraction, and we'll have 3y equals minus 4x plus 21. And then if we add everything or move everything over to the left-hand side, so we'll have to add 4x, we'll get 4x, we'll still have plus 3y. We're going to subtract 21 from both sides, and then it's equal to 0. So that's general form. Something times x plus something times y plus some constant, which in this case happens to be negative, equals 0. Okay, to the next one. Question 6, find the equation of the following lines. Now, previously we looked at how to find the gradient of a line. You might remember that the gradient is equal to the rise divided by the run. So we know that gradient is equal to rise divided by run. Let's have a look at our line here that we have here. If I pick the y-intercept as a starting point and I go across, say, 2 there and go up to this point, you'll notice that I've gone across 2 and I've gone up from 2 to 6. So I've gone up 4. So in our question, our rise is 4 divided by a run of 2, and so the gradient is 2. Not only that, we know the y-intercept. The y-intercept is 2. So this is going to have equation y equals m, which is 2, x plus a constant, which is your y-intercept, and it's crossing the y-axis at 2. So there's the equation of the line. Feel free to pause it and try 6b. Okay, so for 6b, I'm going to use the same method. We know that it's going to be rise over run. And so our gradient, if I pick 2 points, and I think the obvious 2 points to pick would be the y and the x-intercept here. I'm going to go like that. So I've actually gone down 3, so it's -3 is the rise for a run of 2. Okay, so our rise is -3 and our run is 2. So that's our gradient. So putting it into the equation line, it's y equals m, the gradient, -3 on 2, x plus the constant, which is your y-intercept. There you go, +3. So there's the equation of that line. Okay, a couple of slightly more difficult ones coming up. Just got to think a little bit more here. A line passes through those 2 points, 2, 7 and 4, 1. Okay, and the question is saying find the gradient of the line. Okay, so let's plot some points. I won't necessarily put the axes on, but if I went across 2 and up 7, there's 2, 7. And I went across 4, but only up 1, might be over here, 4, 1. I would have a line that's going to pass through those 2 points there. The line would keep going, obviously, both directions. So the line is joining, it's passing through those, and we're being asked to find the gradient. Okay, so we know for gradient that what we do is we look at the rise and we look at the run. So the rise here going down from 7 to 1 is 6, and the run is going from 2 to 4, which is 2. And so my gradient is going to be the rise, -6, divided by the run. Oops, that was -6. Going down 6, so -6 on 2. And so our gradient is -3. Okay, so we have found our gradient. Part B, find the equation of the line using y equals mx plus c. Okay, so we don't have a y-intercept. We could try to work backwards, and you would probably be able to do that if you're clever. You'd be able to work back and work out what the y-intercept would be when x was 0. But I'm going to show you an easier way. So what we're going to do is we're going to write down what we do know about the equation. It's y equals m, which is -3, x plus c. We don't know that c value, the y-intercept. So what we're going to do is use one of the points we're given to find it. So and we can select whichever point we use. I'll pick the first point. It doesn't matter which one of the 2 coordinates. So have a look. I've highlighted there the first point, 2, 7. That tells me that when x is equal to 2, y is 7. I might just write that down. So we know that when x equals 2, y equals 7. So let's substitute them in. We get 7, where the y is equal to -3 times the x value, which is 2, plus c. That's 7 is equal to -6 plus c, and so c comes out to be 13 when you add 6 over. And so therefore, now that we've got our c value, we can write the equation of the line. It's y equals -3x plus c, and we've just found the c is 13. So there's the equation of the line that, if I just scan out there, going back to the question, that's the equation of the line that's passing through those 2 points, 2, 7 and 4, 1. So if you get the gradient and then substitute it into y equals mx plus c, you can use a point to find the equation. Now, what we're going to do on the last one, and feel free to pause and try it yourself, is we're going to see if we can repeat this question where we do everything in one go, so everything all together. So we're going to find the gradient and we're going to put it into the equation of the line. So find the equation of the line through the points 4, -3 and 6, -6, 2. Okay, so -6, 2 is the point on the left, isn't it? -6 is further to the left than 4, and 2 is higher. So the leftmost point is going to be higher. So I'm going to start just by putting a point up higher, and I'll put the other point over here. This is going to be the point -6, 2, and then this point will be my point 4, -3. So we have a line going down like this. Now, it's not to any particular scale because I haven't drawn my X and Y axes. I'm just plotting these 2 points to help me work out the gradient. We're going to learn a nice little trick later for how to get the gradient from 2 points where we don't have to draw it up. Okay, so there's the rise and the run. Now, once again, notice it's going down from 2 to -3. So it's a rise of -5. It's going down. And we're going from -6 across to 4. That's a distance of 10 from -6 to 4. So based off that, we now know that our gradient is equal to -5, the rise, divided by the run, or if we simplify that, -1/2. So our gradient is -1/2. So I now know the equation of this line is y equals mx plus c. And so I might just write mx plus c, and that's going to be equal to -1/2 x plus c. I don't know the c value, do I? That's unknown. So what we do know, though, is that when x is equal to 4, the y value is -3. Okay, I'll just highlight the point back here. When x is 4, y is equal to -3. So we get -3 is equal to -1/2 times 4 plus c. Now, if you do -1/2 times 4, that's -2. So we get -3 is equal to -2 plus c. So c comes out to be, adding 2 to both sides, -1. Now that we've got that, we can write the equation of the line. It's y equals m, which was -1/2 x plus c, which is -1. And there is the equation of the line. All right, so you can now go on with exercise